Hey everybody, Matthew McConaughey here. I'm going to sit here and have a little chat with a good friend of mine and a very talented man and actor, Mr. Jared Leto. We're going to talk about him and his role in The Little Things. Mr. Leto, how are we doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you doing this. It's good to see your face.
Oh, my pleasure, man. It is good to see your face. I look forward to seeing yours in person even more, but this'll do for now, man. This film, The Little Things. Let me give you a quick history of this in my own experience. In 1996, so John Lee had obviously written it, but he was not going to direct it. In 1996, I had a read through where we were talking about it for myself, De Niro, and Carl Franklin directing.
God, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Holy crap. By the way, I would have loved to have seen that version. Wow.
it would have been a different version, but you guys, I'm happy
Cool.
for John Lee wanting to get this thing made, and that he was now behind the helm, behind the camera, and did obviously as a writer and the director. For you, sir, what was I know you're very choosy about your roles that you choose, and you're in a privileged position to be able to say no to a certain amount of them. What was it about this role? What is it about Sparmer that makes you go, oh, I want to go spend some time there?
Well, I mean, just to back up with the timeline, it's funny because I remember Dallas Buyers Club, that script was around for 20 something years, and this script
Yeah.
was around for, I guess, 30 years. So it makes me think we should go digging in the recycle bin for projects. But I initially said no because I thought I'd kind of walked on the darker side of the universe enough, and I didn't want to just play like a suspect or a villain. But after talking to John Lee, I said, listen, if I can go nuts with this and I can really kind of push things right up into the line with it, hopefully not crossing it too much, and dig into the transformative and transformational aspects of the potential character, then maybe we could, you know, maybe it'd be, the right thing to do. And he was just super excited about that. And then Denzel Washington. Have you worked with Denzel Washington before?
No, no.
Wow, you two together would be amazing, incredible. Uh, that would be really intense. Uh, Two of my favorite actors. I love Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I love Matthew McConaughey too. So it's
Love you too,
working with
though.
the people that you admire. I remember this on, when you get a script. Look, you want a great director, right? You want a great writer. You want a great cast. You want great, as much great as you can get. And when Dallas Buyers Club came along, I remember hearing right away that you were involved and you were doing such interesting work, such challenging work, and really just killing it. And I thought, other actors can be such a great filter for scripts and projects. I thought, well,
Right.
if he's already vetted this, then, I want to be a part of what he's doing because there's some magic happening in his life and career and his art right now. So, similar thing. I thought, what an opportunity to work with Denzel Washington, a guy who's never, just never misses. Even if a film doesn't work, he's always great. And
Right.
I love how he
True.
puts his whole body and he really just gives everything for every role. So that and Rami Malek and John Lee. I saw, did you see The Founder?
No.
It's a great movie with Michael Keaton. I saw that, and a lot of people didn't see it. An overlooked movie, and about the about the history of McDonald's. But I just thought it was really beautifully done. And so anyway, too many things to say no to.
Okay. So you got you like I hear you. You want to look for a pedigree around. You want to go work with people. It's a little bit that part would be a little bit of the target draws the arrow. which I know you
Uh,
do keep your ear to for your work that you go after, plus in your life, as far as I can tell from afar. But when it gets to why or choices you make for a role like this, and you said, "Hey, if I can, how far can I go without going too far?" And you have a good conversation with the director and writer John Lee. What do you choose? What are some of your preliminary choices that you are deliberately making? Because correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you're very specific. You're a perfectionist. You're measured. You love choreography. But what are those preliminary choices, from the outside transformation all the way to the places where I'm supposing you're going? Hey, who am I? How is this guy? Who am I in this man? How do I understand what part of me is in this?
yeah, it's a great question. And, you know, I can't say that there was anything that's in the film now that I saw when I read the script. Um, there wasn't a walk, there wasn't a talk, there wasn't the Albert Sparma that we ended up with that definitely wasn't. So I didn't read the page and go, oh.
Right.
Whereas with Dallas Buyers Club, I read the script and thought, oh, I can do this. I think there's something in my life and my experience that I can help to bring something meaningful here. But of course, I guess you just start asking a lot of questions. That's what I do
Yeah.
anyway. I ask, the dumbest questions, the big, huge existential
Yeah.
questions. I, yeah, and I really wanted head to toe to bring something new to life here. And
Hmm.
without getting pretentious, I know a lot of actors are going to watch this, so everyone will understand. Like acting to me is like sculpture, right? Sometimes you're just revealing what's already there. Sometimes you're adding on and finding new things. But I do a lot of preparation, a lot of research, I guess. Um, and 90% of it maybe doesn't bear any fruit, or you fail so many
Hmm.
different times, but from that failure, you learn something else. And, I did the whole thing here, and, it was really fun to just go, I have this meditation that I do, and the guy's always saying, from the tip of the toes to the top of the head, the top of the head to the tip of the toes, right? As far as like, just kind of going somatic tracking through the body or something. But it's like that with this character in any character building. You want to go from the tip of the toes to the top of the head.
Yeah. You say, like, you read you roll like in Dallas when we work together, and you go like immediately, oh, I see who this is. I understand who this is. Where, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying with Sparm is you go like, okay, I don't immediately see who this is or how this is a part of me, but you now seek go outside yourself somewhat. Am I correct in hearing you say that you go outside yourself
Yeah.
somewhat to say, what choices am I going to make, from the exterior choices to a walk to the choices of, you didn't choose to play, oh, I'm Mr. Innocent. The whole way you chose to play a character that it seems to be somewhat enjoying the game of the cat and the mouse. That's a choice. I mean, you could have gone so many different ways. Can you share a little bit if you want to, or just tell me, hey, it's none of your business. That's my secret, which I understand that too. Of, hey, here's some places I went that inspired me to make the choices I did.
Yeah, absolutely. He is someone who enjoys the cat and mouse. He enjoys keeping people off balance. He uses his humor to do that. He's got a very unique sense of humor. I found him quite funny, to be honest. And, it's a blast. I know you've done this many times in your career, but when you get to play these characters who really can kind of just say whatever the hell they want, they can just like, you can't make a wrong choice.
Right.
And that
There's great
sense of
freedom in that.
abandon, yeah, it's just like, man, you can really just like, and even in failure, it's kind of fun. Like, you might do 6 takes that are just, ridiculous and trash, but you have that one that you found because you went down that avenue.
Yep.
But I think that, he's an outsider. He's someone who's been rejected his whole life by people just from his name. You can tell that he's, grown up Albert Sparma. Could you imagine in fifth grade his name gets called? And the poor son of a bitch, I fell for the guy. I mean, I really felt for him and fell for him. But he's different, and he's an outsider, and I think that he quite is enamored by the detectives. He feels like they're people that he's that maybe are as smart as him, that have the
Hmm.
ability to figure things out, or maybe not quite as, but he's an amateur detective of sorts, and I guess I became one too in the preparation process, as we all do, listening to FBI transcripts and thinking about the physicality, this walk, thinking about the voice was a big one. In Dallas
Hmm.
Buyers Club as well, the voice was a huge one. And I don't mean to say like when I read the script, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But when I read the script, I knew that um, there was some kind of, inspiration. There was something like, a kind of a launch pad of sorts. And with Albert Sparma, it was
Yes.
like, okay, we gotta let's start from ground zero zero, maybe a little bit below that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you chose to speak musically, to go a bit staccato. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think,
With
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was always just on the. It was never on the wave. It was always either just slightly ahead or slightly behind it, which kept it a little
Yeah.
off balance as well.
And I have to say, like, for Denzel and Rami to just to put up with that guy and the way that they did, they gave me a great gift, and you gave me this too, is that, the total faith that they had in me,
Yeah,
that gesture that you just feel another actor give you, that they believe
yeah,
that you're capable of pulling this off, and you really gave that to me, and Denzel did as too, that faith and that respect and that support, that just unsaid, gift is just an absolutely beautiful thing.
yeah. What is what? Let's dive into that a little bit. About the work experience, and for all of us actors out there. I mean, I had a glorious working experience and playing experience with you. We had a reciprocity of of sort of one an identity that we both independently brought, but then within that gave us great trust in the other and sort of put the other on a place to be as free and as truthful as possible. It's not always like that, but I think it's fair to say, man, that's a goal where we could all as actors learn where we want to get to in the collaboration of creating characters and working with other actors. Um, tell me about working with Denzel. I'm with you. I mean, there's one of the greats, and I've always wanted to work with him. Maybe one day I will. But tell me about that because you brought him up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Someone that you wanted to work with. You talked about his generosity. You talked about the faith he had in you. Can you dive more into that?
Yeah. Yeah, just so happens he's always been, one of my top, favorite actors. And it's kind of incredible that you get the opportunity to work with people. Like I was in the Matthew McConaughey business before I was literally in the Matthew McConaughey business. You know what I mean? Before we were partners
Mm,
in crime, I just enjoyed the hell out of your work. And then even afterwards, got to go back to being, your fan when Interstellar came out. I remember I came up to
mm,
you, and it was so great that I was like, "Oh, this is so great! I now I know him. I can just like go up and tell him thanks for the inspiration and how beautiful that performance was and how much I enjoyed it." So working with Denzel was similar. We had this thing from the beginning, again, an unspoken thing where I knew that number one, I don't think anyone probably wants to show up on the set with Denzel and not be prepared. And
Right.
I always show up over prepared anyway, and I just wanted to take full advantage of the opportunity to work with that genius. And we did something kind of fun in the very beginning. We just instinctually, like, you know, two lions in the cage, two prize fighters. Maybe not a prize. Maybe he's the prize fighter, and I'm the guy coming in to spar with him. I don't know who gets knocked in his ass, but we both stayed in our corners per se, and we didn't communicate the entire time till after filming, but in a way that was so kind of filled with like respect and support and, like I said before, faith. I think it was really great because when we did communicate, when the camera was rolling, it was explosive. And he's incredible, like every little gesture or nuance. I remember the first time I threw an ad lib out there, which is, quite intimidating to do with someone like Denzel, to just kind of like, just experiment, just kind of toss one out his way. And he grabbed it and threw something back at me that I was totally 180 of what I would have expected, or the character would even
Hmm.
have expected. Like, it was in the interrogation scene, and I said something like, "Oh, I've missed you. Where are we gonna go next?" or
Yes.
something. Yeah, yeah. And he said, I said something smart. I said I thought that he would kind of shut me down, but he smiled at me with that $1 billion Denzel smile, and he said, "I miss you too, Sparma," or Albert. He called me Albert. "I miss you too, Albert." And it was like, it really just kind of gave me this burst of energy, and I thought, okay, this is gonna be great.
Yes. Yes.
And it was
Well,
fun.
that's, you speak of something, and you and I had a similar experience, and I've always loved telling this story and told it many times. As they said, how'd you enjoy working with Jared? I said, well, I didn't know Jared until we wrapped. It was the day we wrapped. That's the first time I went, hey, what's up, Jared? Nice to meet you. You were like, hey, McConaughey. And I was like, how's the band? It was the first time you and I kind of even talked. There is, some people hear that. It sounds like you and Denzel had a similar relationship where you didn't really meet until afterwards, but when you got on screen, there was magic happening because you were seeing things for the first time. Now, some people, hear that and they go, wait a minute, what is that called? Is that method or what? I don't know what the hell it's called. But there's such an asset to it because, and I learned this from Chris Cooper, on a small part he played on A Time to Kill. He would sit on the side, you meet him, and he'd kind of sit very neutral and just kind of be like, hi, hi. And if you saw him out, it'd be very neutral. Hi, hi. Never asking a question or even interrogating. So when you got in a scene with him, you met the man, you met the character, and you had no preconceived idea of, oh, wait, I actually know who you are because I hung out with you last night. And now I'm seeing that you're acting. Actually, you're coming alive in front of me for the first time. And there's a great value in that. And it's a gift to the other actors on the other side acting with someone like yourself when you do that, in the way that you and I did, in the way that you and Denzel did. Um, is that a choice you make for those reasons? Or is that just something that you do and you notice, oh yeah, that's also an asset of it? Or what assets do you see of it?
I think it depends on the film and the part, and the other people. Like, if it was really important to another actor to rehearse or to spend time or to get to know me, and they wanted that, I would absolutely do that. I mean, I feel like it's my job to show up and like do the best job I can for the directors, the actors, the writers, the editors, the crew, studio, everyone, and do whatever I can do to deliver, the best, the most meaningful performance. And that also includes like not being miserable to uh, with, you
Right,
know, and being a good partner to the other people.
right,
So, if that, I would be flexible, with whatever, other people were interested in as well. Um, but I do enjoy the saving some things for the camera. But I know other people's approach can be like laughing and joking before a scene. Maybe that helps them get comfortable.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty easy. I'm like whatever works for everyone else. But I know that when I dig the deepest and I push myself the hardest, I do probably the best work that I can.
Heard. Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, so let me ask you this. It's an open-ended story. It's an open-ended crime drama. You get to the end with questions. Uh, and this is another one of those where you can tell me, none of your business, McConaughey, none of your business, rest of the world. But did you make choices? Did you make a choice of Sparmer being guilty or not guilty?
It's
Or
a
is that
great
none of
question.
our
It's a great, no, it is a great question because, John Lee Hancock and I talked about this a lot that, we had to create a logic board. I was like, listen, man, we got to figure this out because he left it up to me. Um, and I said, well, we got to figure out like, if I didn't do it, how do I know where to be? How do I know, how do I have this information? And if I, conversely, how do I have that other information, or how did I get away with it, or whatever? Um, so, I mean, I liked that the script asked a lot of questions without giving answers. I think that if it was just that kind of typical third act where the guy corners the bad guy and we know it definitively that's the bad guy, and there's some shootout or something, it probably wouldn't have been that interesting. So I like that they tried to do something different. And I do like that there's, I mean, to me, the big thing about the film is that question of innocence, of guilt, of assumption. We look at
Mhm.
people or we make decisions about people a lot of times from, the outside in or based on their behavior. And I thought that was a really big and fascinating question to play around with. Um, but yeah, I have two films now where I have the answer to a pretty big question. Denis on Blade Runner 2049, I look inside Harrison Ford's mind, my character does. So I actually, there's this big debate about whether Harrison Ford is a replicant or not. And, Denise said, well, now you're the only person that knows, and you can decide if he is or isn't. So now I made the decision and I have the secret. I'm a Blade Runner nerd, by the way. So I have the secret for that, and now I have the secret for little things.
So that was a long way of saying exactly, McConaughey, none of your business.
I did it. I did it. No, I didn't. I don't know.
Absolutely. I love it. That was
No,
a
it was
great
Denzel's character.
scene.
Who knows?
um,
Funny.
I got a question. In the interrogation room,
Yeah.
when you're looking at the pictures, and then I believe either you hop up first, or or I don't remember if Denzel's character moves you or not, but you stand up and you're against the wall and it goes to the wide shot. And he's just said, yeah, I see you. I see you. Look at these pictures.
I didn't know if it was still in the movie or not until you just said that. But that scene was not rehearsed at all. I mean,
Right.
not even like blocking. It was basically like, okay, they said they told the actors that's where the cameras are, and we're just gonna go for it. So, and it was a bit of a hot mess each time, but always something in it that was, I mean, the stuff that we were all doing that's on the edit floor was pretty out there.
Yeah.
I think at one point Denzel jumped on top of the desk and he's standing on the table yelling at me, and another time I'm like on the floor just laughing like a maniac, and it was uh it was a wild one. Um, but I did have a moment, and that was the first scene, like big scene, where you heard. I had a day or two before that where I was in the car, but the first kind of big scene where you heard Sparma's voice, and it was kind of drawn out. And I remember we did the first take, and it was like the most dead silence that you've ever heard on a movie set. And I thought, I thought, oh my God, I just blew it. I just, this is the end of my
Mhm.
career. I just ruined their movie. I went too far. This isn't working. And then I learned later that like everyone ran back to the monitor and I'm sitting there alone and they were all just, basically on the floor, uh, uh, loving it. And Denzel, I guess, called his son, who's a great actor and a terrific guy,
Yep.
and said, John David, you better get out here to California fast and defend your position because these young guys are tearing it up. No, that was just such a beautiful thing to hear. But it's funny how oftentimes our perception is not reality, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. And, that gap between what do we intend to do? What are we actually doing? What
yeah,
is actually being recorded on camera? And then what
yeah,
gets edited and put on the screen in the movie that I just found out you haven't even watched yet that you were in. There's a gap between all of those. And that's where a lot of the magic can happen, where we can surprise ourselves, where you sit there and you do a take and you think you blew it, but you find out that maybe you just hit some magic. It was the opposite thing. Or
yeah.
there's times where I know I felt like I hit magic and then turned the corner and had to look at it and looked at the replay. I was like, no, that's complete bullshit. You blew it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's really fun to be able to, you know, the quest. I know I'm on a quest to close those gaps. Like going, if I have an intention and have made choices, is that actually what I'm doing, and can that be actually what's being recorded? You know, and
Yeah.
then hopefully we're working with directors that see a measure of truth in a similar way that we do, and then it goes into the editing bay, and hopefully they have a similar measure of truth before it gets capsulized and put out there and projected for the world to see. Um, well, you did some really, again, some wonderful work, some made really great, strong choices too, and I like seeing the choices you make. I mean, I like seeing. I mean, because I know you, however well I do or don't. And as I said earlier, I know you're very specific, and that you have you measured, and you do like choreograph, and you make choices, and you got the courage and the balls to go out there and say, I'm gonna emulate these choices. I'm gonna emulate this life and put it out there, and you sell it. Every role that you play, you come across as someone. Not you playing someone, but someone. And so thank you for that,
I
in all your
appreciate
work,
it.
man.
I appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah, man. Thank you for saying that.
anything, what's next? What you got? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go and work with another one of my heroes, Ridley Scott. Um, and we're doing this wild story of the Gucci family.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a pretty dramatic, uh, pretty amazing story of the Guccis as a family. So I'm gonna go and it's with Pacino and Lady Gaga and Adam Driver, and we're gonna go over to Italy in just a few weeks. I'm gonna head over there and start practicing my Italian and play Paolo
Oh,
Gucci. Yeah.
that sounds so tasty.
Yeah, it's gonna be tasty, but it's another one
Yeah.
like a deep, very transformative, you know, role, and uh, yeah, which I'm thankful for. You know how this life is, man. You start off and you're just hoping someone gives you a shot, and then it's just a dream to be able to keep doing this and to be asked to play parts that are kind of problems to solve. I really enjoy
Yeah.
that, and it keeps me energized and motivated. And I don't make that many films, but I'm really like fortunate. I guess I'm really just grateful is what it is. I'm
Right.
just grateful to work with these kind of people like you and Denzel and Ridley. And I don't know when that happened because I historically would always say that, there's a lot that I don't enjoy. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. While you're climbing it like like a big, big mountain, Alpine, um, a lot of it's tough. You doubt yourself, you're beat up, you want to go home, you want to just a nice bed and a hot meal. You're miserable a lot of the times. You get to the top, you look around, you're like, okay, and now you got to get down, which is half the work. Uh, and but your life is richer. You have that deep sense of reward. You make relationships that are deep and meaningful, and it's just, a beautiful thing to do.
Well, thank you for doing it. I
Thanks,
sure
man.
like
Good to
watching you
see
from
you.
afar, and I look forward to doing something, being in our own ring again, whenever that time will come. In the
Thank
meantime,
you.
great work in
Yeah.
this. John Lee out there, congratulations on getting the movie made after this many years. And there you go, everyone out there listening. Hope you enjoyed my chat with Mr. Jared Leto.
And thank you. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you doing this. I'll see you soon.
Anytime, sir. Anytime, sir. All right, baby.
And, and see you soon. Tell Vivi I said hi. I haven't seen him so long.